tonight, I've got something I'm quite excited about sharing with you. Do you know what it is? Way! The latest right-wing conspiracy theory has just dropped.
Deep state.
Two-tier policing.
Free the Lucies.
Coordinated media attacks.
5G lab leak lizard people bastards.
I'm excited. Are you psyched? After two-tier policing, the Great Replacement Theory, the Jews run the world, and of course kid farming, which was the one that we contributed on this show. Our own fantasy nightmare to that. But anyway, tonight I bring you the latest conspiracy theory from the Crayola right, and that is that Keir Starmer's homes were arsoned. Guys, do you remember all of that? They were arsoned by disgruntled rent boys with whom the PM had had a prior relationship. That's the idea. That's the story. Who exactly has been suggesting that Keir Starmer's homes were arson attacked by male prostitutes? Well, this guy. These guys, this fella, these people. Now, there is an argument to be had. There is a case to be made that by addressing this sort of thing, you're giving it oxygen. So just ignore it. It's just best to ignore it, Aid. Ignore the disinformation paradigm that we're all forced to endure every day. Ignore the house fire in the downstairs rooms that is slowly engulfing your house. By addressing it, by opening the door downstairs to investigate, you only give it oxygen. So it's much better if you and your whole family just stay upstairs and put your fingers in your ears and wait for the flames to engulf you and your children, Aid. Seems to be the attitude of the left the last few years. Just ignore it. Just don't stoop to their level. And I think we could agree that's all turned out great, hasn't it? You know, Brexit didn't happen. The right didn't get crazier. Populists didn't gain traction. And Donald Trump didn't win twice. So, forgive me if I think addressing these things is probably something we should consider. Like, we should consider it. Shouldn't we? We should consider addressing it, I think. Like, we should give it a try, shouldn't we? Addressing these things rather than just ignoring them and allowing them to continue to grow and fester, or even worse, just outright aping them. Right? I mean, that's going to be a weird thing with this one, is when it becomes a major talking point on GB News and Talk TV and BBC News and Question Time. And, of course, by Farage, Tyson, the Reform Party. Then at that point, you're going to see Keir Starmer himself acknowledging and perpetuating a conspiracy theory about himself and rent boys. You know, he's going to be like, well, you're right to be concerned. I'm angry about this too. We're going to be like, you what? About whatever it is that your Prime Minister has been doing and getting up to. I tell you what, I'm going to get to the bottom of whatever it is that this Keir Starmer guy has been up to. Right, but you're Keir Starmer. Right, but who better to get the facts from? You know, Keir Starmer knows what Keir Starmer's been doing, doesn't he? You know, it's straight from the horse's mouth. So, let's talk about it. The conspiracy theory is that the guys who have been arrested for firebombing Keir Starmer's properties and past properties are Petro Pochinok, Roman Larivanochit, I'm never going to pronounce these names correctly, and Stanislav Karpic. So we'll just call them Petro, Roman, and Stan, shall we? And Petro, who is a Ukrainian guy, he's 34, he was arrested in Chelsea in mid-May on suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson with intent to endanger life. And that's in relation to 3 incidents. There's a vehicle fire in Kentish Town. Then there's a fire at the Prime Minister's private home, and that's on the same street. And then there's a fire at an address where he previously lived in northwest London. So Petro's the first guy, 34 years old, gets arrested in Chelsea. He gets charged, but Roman also gets charged. Roman's in his 20s, I think. He gets charged with 3 counts of arson with an intent to endanger life. Roman is 21, it says. Then the last guy is Stan, and he's 26. He's also born in Ukraine, but has Romanian nationality, it says. And so the car blows up on the 8th of May. 3 days later, the Flats house complex thing is firebombed. And then the next day after that, the 12th of May, the private residence that he's currently rented out while he lives in Downing Street, that gets firebombed. The door just burns out. Nobody's hurt. It's not too destructive. The house doesn't burn down, but it's serious, right? 3 fires in 3 different days. And it could have been bad. Could have been really bad. Could have killed somebody. And frankly, guys, I'm beginning to regret the house fire metaphor I started off with. The idea of a fire on the ground floor slowly engulfing. Everybody just feels a little bit insensitive now, given the actual substance of this story. Anyway, so they get tracked down, arrested, all 3 of them. And of course, they deny the charges. And a few talking heads and a few publications, Fleet Street, etc., they suggest that this could be the work of Russia. Then on the 26th of May, the Kremlin fire back at suggestions that Russia may have been behind the attacks. They say Britain always imagines these things. Any things that are bad that happen in the UK, the Kremlin are like, oh, somehow it's the problem and the fault of the Kremlin again. It's always Mr. Putin that's behind everything, isn't it? Why? Why is it always up? Because it's nearly always you. That's why. We don't need to go through the myriad of shit that they have obviously actually done, do we? Do we need to go through that little, jaunt down memory lane? As a spy in the bag, most intelligent, reasonable people now accept that was Russia. He was about to go public on a Russian, embedded spy in MI5 or MI6 or something. So they offed him. The Skripals in Salisbury, the whole Piccadilly polonium sushi debacle. The Kremlin lie and murder and then lie about the murders in a way that is so hilariously confident for such obvious guilt. It's like they think they're Darth Vader, and we're all so fucking stupid. It's like a Jedi mind trick where they just go, no, that was not us. And then we go, oh, it wasn't them then. But it doesn't quite work like that, does it? Instead, it's like, oh, that was not us. And we're like, no, that was, it was definitely you. It was, we've got the CCTV, Vlad. We've got the intelligence. We've got the paper trail. We've got the surveillance, the traces of polonium that followed your boys all the way back to their hotel room and down the sink of their hotel. We know it was you. It's like arguing with a shit girlfriend, isn't it? When you're like, I've read the texts on your phone. I've got witnesses that said they saw you snogging him in the pub, Rita. And she's like, no, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. I don't know why people are saying these things. No, you're saying those things. On the messages on your phone. No, that's not what it says on my phone. Sorry. What are you talking? Get your phone out. I'll show you. All right. If you insist. Here it is. It says, I miss you already, and your dick is so much bigger and better than 8. Right. Well, that doesn't mean that I kissed him. That doesn't mean I was just speaking matter-of-factly. I was missing him already. He's my friend, but also everyone knows that he's packing. Right. And everyone knows that the bigger the better. Right? So is there anything else? No, it's nothing. Just get your coat or we're going to be late for my mum's. Right? That's what the Kremlin are like. They're like somebody's shit girlfriend. Wasn't me. I don't know why people are saying these. Oh, you're paranoid. Anyway, let's continue. So then the 6th of June, we've gone through May, we go up to June now. The 6th of June, they have to appear, these suspects, these Ukrainian lads. They have to appear at the Old Bailey. And 2 of them do by video link from Belmarsh Prison. But the oldest one, Roman, 34, remember, he refuses to leave his cell. So, park that for a minute, because that's the sort of, that's the context. Setting the stage for you here. Now, if gravity can do its job and keep your vomit down long enough, I would kindly ask you now, guys, to take a look at this guy.
I highlighted to the Minister the scale of harms that the experimental vaccines have caused.
What other colleagues are not doing is promoting false propaganda, which is widely known to originate from the Kremlin.
Out of that poisonous cesspit of the right-wing conspiracy theorist ecosystem in the United States. And
abusing and undermining colleagues and the occupant of the chair.
Mandated people to lose their jobs for not taking a vaccine, which is unproven, unsafe.
Certainly wasn't unproven, certainly wasn't unsafe.
And using the autopsy of a 14-year-old girl as clickbait on their social media feed, all of which the Honourable Member has done in the past week. And he might like to reflect on that.
In comes Andrew Bridgen with bashing symbols. Sponsored by Catcher in the Rye.
There's also the situation with Starmer has been very interesting, and it's not just what the media are saying, but what they're not saying.
Forcing us to ask a question, to say the words that so very, very few people ever seem to utter these days, which is, let's see what Andrew Bridgen has to say.
So three Ukrainian male models have been arrested for arson attacks on Keir Starmer's property. And they all had accounts on Grindr, interestingly enough, apparently.
Interestingly enough.
On Grindr, interestingly enough, apparently, which have all been deleted.
Okay, so they're possibly gay, I guess?
They all had accounts on Grindr, interestingly enough.
Interestingly enough. Now, the BBC, who hold themselves to a reasonably high standard when it comes to editorial and reporting, right? The BBC said 2 of them were understood to be aspiring models. Okay? Fine. Separately, LBC, a very famous radio station on which I have guested a couple of times, not bragging, just saying it happened. LBC have put out a thing where they say that Stan was an aspiring actor. Also, so models, actors. Bridgen says they all had accounts on the gay dating and hookup app Grindr, but, he says, with his eyebrows raised, those accounts have since been deleted. They've vanished.
Which have all been deleted. And there are obviously some questions about Keir Starmer's private life and his relationship with Lord Ali, who's openly homosexual.
Openly homosexual. Happy Pride Month, guys.
But what the media aren't hearing, and I saw a report on this, it was actually from Vasily Poroshkov. He claims that the 3 Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information from senior politicians in the UK, and they were passing them to the Ukrainian dissident in Madrid.
And he's being very careful not to directly tread in it here, isn't he? He's not saying anything directly. They never do they? Over on the Crayola gargling right. He's not saying anything directly, but there's some subtext to this, isn't there? Like, what is it that you think that they are suggesting? Let me know in the comments. What do you think is the implicit subtexty suggestion here?
3 Ukrainian male models, they all had accounts on Grindr, which have all been deleted. And there are obviously some questions about Keir Starmer's private life and his relationship with Lord Ali, who's openly homosexual. Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information. Keir Starmer's private life. Ukrainian rent boys. Keir Starmer's Ukrainian rent boys.
Right, because I think the suggestion here, they're not saying it, are they? They're being really careful not to say it. But I think that the suggestion here is that Starmer is secretly gay and he was fucking all of these rent boys. He stiffed them for the bill and now they're really pissed off at him. Now that's the implicit suggestion here, isn't it? With all the, he's still got questions to answer around his relationship with Lord Ali. He's got questions to answer around his relationship with this openly homosexual gentleman. Like, which questions are those, Andrew? Can't really say at the moment, Ed. It's a cover-up! It's a cover-up! He's censored! It's all a whitewash, I tell you! Well, Starmer still has questions to answer about his relationship with this openly homosexual gentleman.
He's openly homosexual.
And I have looked around, guys. I've looked into this. I've searched up and down, far and wide, left and right, and I cannot find any credible evidence or suggestion in a legitimate publication with any integrity. I can't find any suggestion that Keir Starmer has ever dabbled in that area. But I also can't find any legitimate news sources who are suggesting that the three guys who've been arrested and charged themselves are gay. Let alone that they were actual full-blown fucking rent boys. Like, I mean, I don't, like, maybe they were. You know, Andrew Bridgen seems to be fairly convinced that they were. And he's heard from somebody else that they were gathering intelligence.
But what the media aren't hearing, Vasily Poroshkov, the former Ukrainian Secret Service agent, he claims that the three Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information.
But yeah, it's like, there's a total absence of any suggestion. Like his relationship with Lord Ali appears to be one entirely of sort of, donor and politician, House of Lords representative and Prime Minister. I don't think there's any suggestion from any credible news outlet that they are, sort of on the down low, secret homosexual lovers. Like Starmer is, as far as I know, Starmer's straight. He's been married since 2007. And the only evidence I think that you guys are going to find, if you go out looking for this, like him and Lord Ali, appears to be, this is the top end of what I've managed to find, is an AI deep fake of Keir Starmer kissing Lord Ali. But it's obviously a deep fake. And yet the whole of Twitter and TikTok are like, this is real. He's obviously a closet homosexual. What else isn't he telling us?
Here it is, being shared by an account calling itself the British Patriot in a post seen 3.7 million times, describing it as footage of Keir Starmer and Lord Wahid Ali sharing a kiss.
So there's that. But then the other thing is, like, if these three gentlemen, these three innocent until proven guilty gentlemen, if they were models and gay and rent boys, which nobody credible is saying, as I said, maybe they were, it's possible. Maybe they really were out there having a fucking time of their lives, making it rain with closeted homosexual high-ranking politicians with a lot to lose, throwing cash at them, getting bummed into the next dimension. Maybe that was happening. Maybe that is what was taking place. I don't know. But if that was the case, if they were on Grindr, and then they got arrested on suspicion of terror offences or arson of a high-profile politician like the Prime Minister, it's not actually abnormal for a platform like Grindr to remove those profiles. It's not actually that strange. Like Facebook do it, Instagram does it, Snapchat, if there's been like a gangland killing and they were uploading photos and videos, the whole profile will get hidden. And the reason that they do it is somewhat ironically to stop conspiracy theorists from jacking the videos and the posts and then reverse engineering their bullshit. You know, you get arrested for 5 unpaid parking tickets. Somebody goes on your Instagram, sees that you were in Paris in 1997. What did he have to do with Princess Diana's death? Why aren't the mainstream media talking about this? It's a cover-up. So they hide them for that. They remove the profiles and the content for that. But also, probably more importantly, they do it to protect their own reputations. Because they don't want to be associated with somebody who's been arrested and charged of an abhorrent offence, you know? A bit like how Andrew Bridgen's profile has been wiped from Conservative Party HR records, right? They don't want to be... They've just completely disassociated themselves from him. Like, is that a whitewash too, Andrew? Is that a cover-up? Or have they just made the commercial decision that is actually not beneficial any longer to be associated with Andrew Bridgen? Anyway, let's see where this went to next.
Breaking right now, shock new claims over the mainstream media cover-up.
Oh, God.
Nothing to see here, folks. Let's hide behind the contempt of court laws and just say nothing. Well, one person who isn't prepared to play by those rules is the former Conservative MP, Andrew Bridgen. Dropped a bombshell about the 3 rent boys connected to Starmer.
Oh, careful.
We'll get analysis on this that you certainly won't receive in the mainstream media from our superstar panel, June Slater and Howard Cox, in just one moment. But first,
wait, June Slater? Is that the fucking
dissident journalist?
You know, the woman off EastEnders. Is that her?
Our superstar panel, June Slater and Howard Cox.
Like, that can't be who he's getting in here to provide. Like D-list exited actors from like 20 years ago. Is that who it is? Is that... It's the woman off EastEnders, is it? Like, what is going... like, what in the Christmas lights at Bognor is this?
Our superstar panel, June Slater.
I gotta check this, hold on. June Slater. June Slater is an online creator, and you can follow her on YouTube here. Oh, right, okay. So it's not that lady. She's an online creator. She's a political voice on YouTube. But I mean, if the appearances on Dan Wootton and the Google Ads money dries up, she could definitely get impersonator work, couldn't she? Like, who was the short blonde-haired lady that had the affair with Phil Mitchell? You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
I don't know who you are. You just made me think I did. You do know me, but no one else does.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. There. That is honestly who I thought this was for a minute.
Our superstar panel, June Slater.
Like, I'm not even joking. Like, that's how low my expectations are for Dan Wootton when he's wheeling out his star panel tonight. Because it's not outrageous, is it? To think that could have happened and it could have been her. You know, GB News used to wheel out the former celebs from the retirement home, didn't they? The Eamon Holmes, Anne Diamond, Alistair Stewart, Jim Davidson. That was GB News, right? Up here, that's who they used to bring in from the retirement homes. So where would you lay your expectations for the guy that got the boot from GB News? Like, I know it sort of is on me for like looking and, you know, judging by appearances and getting it wrong. It's my assumption, and you shouldn't assume, guys. That is on me. But I think honestly, it still reflects badly on Dan. Because what does it say about him that I was so ready to believe that his star panel might only consist of this bitch, Mr. Motivator, and some erstwhile exited star from ITV's Gladiators from 1995. You know, would you really be shocked? Would you be surprised if it was the lady from EastEnders as a political contributor to Dan Wootton's Outspoken? You know, you look at this. Is it a news show? Is it a news show, or is it a Zoom call audition for Bournemouth Pier Panto. We just don't know.
I would argue that the mainstream media are doing what they often do, which is they're just choosing not to cover a story.
Obviously, these three aren't men, are they? So when we look at this situation...
Again, happy Pride, guys.
Something stinks, doesn't it? Something, the smelly stuff is all around, but obviously the mainstream media aren't touching it. Is there a D notice out? I don't know. The mainstream media aren't touching it. Is there a D notice out? I don't know.
I don't know either, June, but definitely keep saying it, even if you don't.
It's being covered up again. Something's being covered up.
So then we get to this guy. This was posted a couple of weeks ago.
Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moaning. Well, this is a bit odd. It's just so mental. We've now got this sort of mixed match of these guys who are models, come possibly rent boys. Why would these three people have a grievance with Keir Starmer?
Then you get to publications like the Daily Telegraph, but not the real Daily Telegraph. This is the Daily Telegraph NZ. Okay? Now, are they picking it up because Dan Wootton is a Kiwi and he has connections in New Zealand? Or is it just a mask kind of site that's supposed to look like a Western news publication? Honestly, I don't know, and neither does June.
I don't know.
You do know me, but no one else does.
Then you get to accounts like this one, which is obviously way smaller than Dan Wootton's. But because of the sensationalist bent of the conspiracy theory, the video gains traction.
It's all unverified claims and rumours, etc. But when the internet starts whispering things about Ukrainian rent boy, who supposedly knows Keir Starmer and his mate Lord Ali, you've got to wonder what's cooking in the gossip kitchen.
And then this one.
Keir Starmer does not want you to watch this video. And I love this meme saying, sir, they know the Ukrainian fire starter was your rent boy.
It's very interesting, isn't it? It would be important to know if he was a male model.
More interesting details are coming to light about the alleged
Is it possible
love triangle
that he could be another lover of Keir Starmer?
People are starting to join the dots, though.
Join the dots.
And let's just break it down for a second, shall we? The reality of stories like this one, which is what at the moment is three lads, Ukrainian. They've been arrested and charged, suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson, and they deny the charges. They might end up at some stage. It might be revealed that they were on Grindr. It might end up being revealed that they were intelligence workers for a Ukrainian dissident candidate. And it may even relate to a wider plot to install a preferred candidate after Zelensky. Like, all of that may be true. Like, these governments, geopolitical entities, they do fuck around like this. They really do. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know the sort of fuckery that these countries and their governments get up to. And if you were an alternative to Zelensky, an anti-Western, pro-Putin candidate, and you had connections, espionage, compromat-style connections in London, like, it could end up being these three, or men like these three, engaging in sort of like blackmail bait, trying to lure in high-ranking officials. Like, that side of things doesn't sound outrageous to me. That could end up being what this actual story is. Like, that may be true, but probably what it's not, probably what it's not is Keir Starmer banging rent boys. Like, it's just completely without foundation. There's no evidence there to support it. But the reason these apps like Grindr, like Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, the reason that these apps quickly delete or hide profiles is commercial. And this isn't an isolated case. There isn't a cover-up. It's not some big whitewash. It's more that mainstream news outlets are regulated by Ofcom, whereas YouTube is not. So these mainstream places that all of these figures, Dan Wootton, Andrew Bridgen, all of the rest of them are bashing.
Breaking right now, Shock new claims over the mainstream media cover-up. Nothing to see here, folks. Let's hide behind the contempt of court laws.
Like, actually what you're doing is highlighting your own privilege. Like, they're forced to play by those rules. They are rules that you are not expected to play by. Like, the BBC and the Daily Mail and the Sun, they can't be babbling about unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, can they? They can't be seen to be doing... They'll get sued into oblivion. The regulator will just pull the plug. But this is how the modern right flourish.
Questions about Keir Starmer's private life.
The mainstream media cover-up.
It's out. I don't know.
Keir Starmer.
Wonder what's cooking in the gossip kitchen.
5G lab leak lizard people bastards.
We saw it with Southport, with those killings when the disinformation exploded all over Twitter. Afterwards, completely unsubstantiated, turned out to be false, caused all of those riots. And the police didn't want to release any information that might either cause civil unrest or prejudice any trial. And it's the same with the press. Like, they don't want to prejudice a trial, but they also don't want to be regulated, right? And so then there's this sort of superficial knowledge or information vacuum into which march people like Andrew Bridgen, channels like Dan Wootton or Patriot News 1964 or whatever the fuck it is that your dad's watching in the spare room at 3 a.m. All of them pretending that withholding certain information is somehow evidence of a government cover-up. But it's like, what is more likely here? Ask yourself that. What is more likely with this story? That these guys are Russian informants or Putin adjacent Ukrainian dissidents, possibly here to get blackmail material. They got paid to embarrass and intimidate our British Prime Minister. And they got arrested and charged. And the absence of further information in the public domain at the moment is actually the seriousness with which the police and the CPS and the press are taking the run-up to a potential trial. So which is more likely? Is it that or that the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, loves rent boys? And even the Mail and the Express, both of whom would love to take down Keir Starmer. They would love a scoop like that, wouldn't they? Even the Mail and the Telegraph and the Express and the Sun and GB News, all of them are in on it. They're all in on this quilt, this blanket of silence. They've all joined the deep state, guys. Like, ask yourself that. Which is more likely? Which is more likely? Well, how's that for there still being questions to answer? You know, can we get an answer on that? From June Slater, Jim Davidson, or Dan Wootton? Wootton, as I understand, is openly homosexual.